Welcome everyone to today's breakout session on how to fast-track innovation with Miro AI. My name is Dominique Rolink, and I work as a product marketing manager at Miro, supporting our AI stream. And I am thrilled to have you all here as we dive into how AI can accelerate every stage of innovation. We also have an exciting lineup of speakers and demos with Tirelle and Ioana that will showcase the transformative power of AI in your workflows. We'll cover the capabilities of Miro AI that accelerate innovation at each stage. Then we'll be joined by our speakers, Tirelle and Ioana, for a quick fireside chat. And then we'll get to see how Tirelle uses AI to bolster cross-functional collaboration and move teamwork forward. Miro users create over 20 million sticky notes daily. That's a crazy amount of ideas, but we know the journey from idea to reality can be challenging. Transforming customer quotes, retrospective inputs, or workshop outcomes is time-consuming and often presents roadblocks for teams to action what they've put in motion. That's where Miro AI steps in. Instead of seeing roadblocks to get those ideas into an actionable format, AI gives teams momentum back. Our AI seamlessly bridges inspiration and action, accelerating team progress at every stage, helping teams discover the problem space, define their solution, and then deliver on that solution. But it also helps to connect those stages and makes it easier for teams to keep moving. In the early stages of innovation, when you're uncovering problems, Miro AI can step in as your research buddy. For example, helping you uncover insights when you cluster sticky notes by sentiment or keyword to take a first pass at sorting. Also, whether you're ideating alone or with others, Create with AI can help you uncover initial problem areas or expand the ones that you've already identified on the board. Miro AI can also give teams speed when moving from phase to phase. For example, when moving from discovery to definition, you can ensure speed by summarizing research or identifying next steps from a workshop, really helping you kind of keep momentum. While honing in on a solution, Miro AI can act as a co-creator. For example, it can help you quickly test ideas when generating prototypes. This is an exciting new feature coming soon. Or you can get a second opinion from our product leader sidekick to help you identify possible solutions based on the ones that you've already created. And lastly, in definition, you can use Miro AI to help you map a solution. For example, with flowcharts, you can identify possible edge cases or failure areas to anticipate problems. But now that we've mapped those solutions, getting to implementation can be tough. Here, again, you can call on Miro AI to keep teams moving. For example, by turning your product solution workshop here into a PRD or a product brief that you can clearly communicate how to implement your solutions. AI will, for example, help you quickly identify the target audience, key considerations, so you can keep moving into implementation. And lastly, I want to take a look at how AI can boost the delivery of your outcomes. Introducing action shortcuts so you can automate tasks and leverage Miro AI directly in your workflows, connecting inputs on the board or where you want to output when you're creating your shortcuts. Also, when working with others who may not speak your language, you can now use AI to translate either many items or the entire board and replacing or duplicating your selection. And in this phase, we also know how hard it can be to drive stakeholder alignment forward. I know I've been in my fair share of tough meetings trying to get buy-in for a solution. With AI sidekicks, you can now get early and strategic feedback from either a product leader or the product marketing alliance, so you can present your best work. I hope this deep dive and practical guide got you inspired to start leveraging AI in your process. But I really also want to now hear from our speakers on their point of view and how they leverage AI in their day-to-day. Now, for our fireside chat today, I'm so happy to welcome to the call Tirelle Barron, who is based in LA, is a founder, researcher, and designer. He has extensive experience working with cross-functional teams at Microsoft, Snapchat, and Meta. We also have Ioana Teleanu, based in Romania, who is a designer at Miro, but also a thought leader of how AI can be leveraged within teams. So to start us off, Tirelle, can you give us a little bit more info about you, your role, and what makes you excited about AI for collaboration?
Of course, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. So I'll start with me. I've always been curious and driven to solve problems, and I grew up in New York, so it really taught me the importance of taking hold of my future and the information that I use. Now, today, as a content specialist in tech, I like to work at the intersection of product, content, and AI. AI makes communication and collaboration super seamless. And my profession is not just about speed. It helps us shift between big picture strategy and those small details. And most importantly, remove that friction so we can just keep momentum going.
Very nice. And Ioana, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been a product designer for the past 10 years, and for the past couple of years, I've been niching down in the AI space. I'm currently leading AI for Miro's AI experience, which is very exciting. And of course, I'm working at the intersection of what artificial intelligence can enable us to achieve with our human minds, and collaboration, which for me is an absolutely fascinating space. And I know that there's a lot of worry in the landscape that AI will be replacing us, and that AI can in a way affect the way we work together as humans. But I personally see it as a very exciting opportunity. And I envision a future where AI is essentially an agent of culture, and it becomes a facilitator for better conversations between people, for just if you want, a translator of ideas, like just bridging some of the human fallacies that can come up when we're trying to work together. Maybe some people are shy, maybe some people just don't like to express their ideas so robustly, or they're more visual, or they like to write. And so AI can, in a way, create a platform in which it can like guide these conversations and just construct a better space in which we can meet as people and collaborate with this very human experience. But yeah, AI can become an enabler, I think, for better conversations and better collaboration. So that's where I'm excited to, yeah, contribute.
Nice. I heard already some of those challenges, and you were already kind of, I think, addressing some of the ways that you think AI can help you overcome some of those. But do you want to dive a little bit more into those challenges that you faced?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there are two main challenges that, not just as designers, but in general as builders, as creators, we're facing when it comes to AI. I think one of them is ambiguity and uncertainty in general. So building products has always been ambiguous, but in the conventional system, you could test more easily. Like you could just build a prototype that was the exact version of what you are going to build, and then learn by testing, right? With AI, you have to actually build the thing, because otherwise you're not really measuring how the AI will show up in the wild. Will it work? Will it be like at the level of quality that your users will expect? So testing is harder. And so there's this aspect of ambiguity that also stems from the industry not being mature enough at this moment. It's like infant technology, it's an infant space. We're all trying to articulate principles, frameworks, systems for thinking. And so that's in the making. We don't have clear standards to reference when we're making these decisions. Many times we are inventing interaction models, and we are working for surfaces that are completely new. And so it's a completely new paradigm. So there's this ambiguity aspect to it. And also the second thing I want to mention is the ethical aspect of it. So we don't really know how to make decisions that are that will age nicely, that are properly designed to support this very safe and good future, right? So sometimes we don't know what AI will do. It's non-deterministic. It can be unexpected. And so I think that most people working in this space also have some ethical internal dilemmas that they're trying to reconcile. So very quickly, how I try to overcome this: building systems as much as possible and documenting work in a way that kind of helps de-risk and helps disambiguate what we're doing as a team. And also for the ethical dilemmas, I'm trying as much as possible to always bring this up in conversations. I think that's very important, just debating and thinking about possibilities when it comes to every decision you're making. Yeah, I think that's a good start.
Yeah. And Tirelle, I saw you nodding on some of these points. Curious to hear your point of view.
So I'm nodding because I relate to it so much. Ambiguity is probably the number one thing we all face in the AI space. Like it was beautifully said, it's ever evolving every day, every second, and every hour, and more innovations are made day in and day out, which is amazing, but it produces a lot of uncertainty. And that ambiguity when you're tackling these problems, which are probably a first for your company, that can slow down progress. And what we were chatting about before was building momentum, keeping that curiosity alive. So like it was also beautifully said, we want to build a lot of systems that can match the speed of our communication. So we can synthesize information a bit quicker, test all of those assumptions that we may have, and move forward with clarity because data backs all of our decisions. So how you solve that and how I've been solving that is really just building out those systems and documentations, just so I can test everything out and make sure everyone's aligned. And AI really helps with that, and breaks down all of those friction points.
Perfect. And indeed, like, do we want to maybe cover some of the ways that you specifically use AI to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, that's another great question. So like I said before, data is always at the center stage of anything that we do. We base our hypotheses off of data. We test those hypotheses, and data will begin and end our processes. So AI really helps me and my teams when it comes to data analysis. AI is great for summarizing large data sets, producing easily and actionable insights that we can take action on, as well as when we want to validate any ideas that we may have to see if we're moving in the right direction. E.g., AI will probably validate an idea for us quicker than tabling it around with people all across the company. We still want to do that because you always want that human connection. However, when it comes to keeping that momentum up, data analysis is definitely one of the best ways that I've been using AI to keep that momentum going in the process.
Recognize that a lot as well. And Ioana, what was your maybe insight into this?
First of all, it also resonates with me a lot. And I think that working in the AI space, I've learned that for the time being, as technology progresses, it might fail for some parts. So it's, let's say, not there yet, the proverbial, it's not there yet, but it's good at a couple of things. And research synthesis is one of its strongest use cases. So enabling you to process large volumes of data much faster is something that it can already do for us. So support us with tedious tasks because it's not hard to produce a lot of interviews and have conversations, but then when you're trying to look for patterns and look for themes and extract the key elements from it, it becomes harder. You also have, you still have to apply a lot of critical thinking and systems thinking to make the proper connections, maybe identify the nuances that AI might have missed, the quirkiness that one person might have had over another. So those are things that still require human effort, but at like the statistical overview of what's going on is something that AI can definitely accelerate for us and support us with and complement our interpretation, right? And speaking about complementing us, I think AI is also a pretty good brainstorming partner. I think we've all been experimenting with going to ChatGPT with a half-baked idea or a rough concept or just, I don't know how to start this kind of task. And then it gives you a draft. It's, of course, it needs editing. You need to just ping pong a couple of prompts until you get to something that still needs edit, but it's more usable, but still it helps you think in a way, right? So it's like this external sidekick that enables you to exchange ideas and refine your own thinking as you do that exercise. So it's still about critical thinking, human thinking. It's never going to replace thinking, but it can become let's say a mirror for ourselves in a way. So it's an opportunity to help us think better. And one of the last points that I feel it's an opportunity, and we've talked about it at Miro, we're just kind of surface this capability. It's prototyping, and this is great because now you don't have to be a designer to be able to validate your ideas, to test, to take it quickly into the wild. So with the help of AI, you can create prototypes very quickly. You don't need UI skills. You just curate whatever AI is producing and you help it, you give it instructions to achieve the thing that's closest to the idea you're trying to test. And then it helps you visualize your ideas much quicker and expose them, show them to users, and then learn much quicker as well. So that's an opportunity for, in general, if you bring all these three angles together, and it's not just that, but let's say these are the main themes that AI can support us with. If you bring them together, essentially what you're going to get is just better design decisions, better product decisions, right? So we can build better products now because we have this technology supporting us for the menial, tedious tasks that we had a hard time with as people, as teams. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what the future holds, not just for the technology and how it's surfaced, but like the effects of what it can produce, how it can make us build better products.
Exactly. I resonated with so much that both of you have just said. Thank you both so much for taking the time to talk to these points. It's been really interesting to hear your real world examples and how Miro and AI play a role in that. So thank you so much. I'd love to now move on to a deep dive that we're doing with Tirelle on how he uses Miro AI to move teamwork forward. Tirelle, can you talk to how Miro AI has impacted how you do discovery with your teams?
Of course, when working with large teams, there are a lot of moving parts at play. And knowing how to organize your data, where to even find that data, coordinating meetings, a lot of things can get lost in transition and lost in the shuffle. However, Miro AI really helps us stay focused, and it gives us a canvas to actually work on where we can centralize a lot of our information and keep the momentum going and taking those ideas to solutions and lightning speed.
Amazing. And so I see here that you have a bit of feedback. Like, can you walk me through how you get that feedback and then process it to help discover the problem that you're solving?
A lot of our data lives in Google Sheets. And when it comes to using that with Miro, we essentially take all of that data and copy and paste it into Miro into handy dandy sticky notes. Now, sticky notes are great because you can do a lot of things like clustering, visualizing your data, and get people's input and feedback quicker than them going through a manual Google Sheet.
I see that you've indeed done that clustering here. What did that really help you to achieve?
Clustering is great, and it's such an underrated AI feature because it'll take all of your data and essentially group it by sentiment or keyword. Now, both of those features are great because it takes what's already in your data and ranks it by prevalence. So you'll find different themes that will help you, of course, identify what your customers are going through. And of course, if you're ranking that by sentiment, you can start to understand big themes that your team can focus in on and start to formulate their solutions around.
Amazing. I saw that you also further kind of took that data and transformed it even further. Can you walk me through what you did here with those clustered items?
When using Miro AI, one thing that I like to preach is breaking apart data and bringing it back together in concise documents. Miro's prompting feature allows us to A, take all of our feedback data, identify all of those big themes that we did with our clustering, and now we can identify top problems for that audience feedback. So in this example, we just have a simple prompt that we added, and it took all of our feedback data and created a concise document that we can now reference and actually vet and analyze if these are actually problems our team resonates with. So again, we're breaking things apart via sticky notes and clustering, and we're bringing it back together with some concise documents, like shown for top problems identified from the data that we used.
It's been really insightful to see how you break down this data and really get to kind of identifying your problem in such a quick way. Thank you for sharing that, Tirelle. And now I'd love to actually move into how you then go into really taking those ideas and getting to the desired outcome. Can you walk me through the steps that you take as a team to go from your idea to an outcome? I see that you've prepared something here below.
Yes. So this was great because it goes back to the concept we were talking about, pulling ideas apart and bringing them back together. We had our document of top problems from our audience feedback. We wanted to pull that apart and actually start diving into some solutions. Now, you're always going to want to brainstorm collaboratively with your team, and this is a great example of that. We took some of the insights that we had from our top problems, and our team started to use sticky notes to write out some solutions that they had, or they basically write out solutions that they generated. And we use that as an opportunity to vote as a team for ones that we wanted to push or get behind.
Yeah. I see here that you guys already thought of a lot of different ideas. And then like, how do you kind of move that forward?
So again, we're breaking things apart and bringing them back together. We're still breaking these ideas apart and figuring out where we want to put a lot of our time and effort. Miro AI's project leader sidekick was perfect because it just helped us generate more ideas. So at the top, we have some of the ideas that our team had. As you can see, some are blue and other ones are yellow. Now, the product leader took our ideas and built upon those, and they made some really great ones. So we have the gamification of an onboarding system. We have the smart notification batching. And as you can see, these are fully fledged ideas that are very similar to the ones that we created as a team. And we love this because it just filled in the gaps of what we may have missed. And then we aligned on the gamification of onboarding because we felt that was super, it had a direct link to our audience feedback and it related to a lot of the themes that we identified. So the project leaders edition 1 helped us stay focused on what solutions we wanted to focus on. And 2, it helped us identify where we wanted to put a lot of our effort. And this was a great way of just combining our efforts and seeing where we wanted to, what solution was best for our audience.
I love that this was also like validated by you as well, and that you thought that these were kind of valuable inputs as well. I'm sure not every idea was, but I'm happy to see that it felt like an addition to some of the work that you've already done. And then kind of, did you end it there or did you continue?
And one of the ways that we wanted to pull that back together once we identified that solution was making a flow chart for our idea. Now, an idea is an idea until you actually have a playbook and a step-by-step way of executing that solution. And one of the great ways to start executing is visualizing it in a flow chart. So as a team, we worked together to understand our solution, which was the gamification of onboarding, and understand each component of that. Once we had each of those components, we translated that into a flow chart. And this was great because now we have a live artifact that we can send to different teams to validate, like, hey, does this step actually relate to our users? Is this actually feasible in our platform? And without this flow chart, we'll just be going from notes to different sticky notes to documents. But a flow chart is something that we can all collectively build, tear apart, and again, is breaking things apart and bringing them back together.
I really love how it kind of outlines the solution end to end, and you can indeed, like you said, build this discussion around it. So it's really interesting to see like all the different steps that you've taken here in outlining your solution. I'm really wowed. Awesome. But I'd be interested in understanding, how does AI actually help you deliver on some of those solutions that you've identified?
Delivering on solutions, one begins with getting buy-in with your teammates. As a team, you're all going to be working on it, so you need buy-in from everyone so that you know what to focus on and really start delegating. One of the great ways that I like to do that is by creating a small presentation, early presentation of just all of the components that we highlighted in our flowchart and really pulling in our teammates to get their ideas on where we should move and what direction we should take. Now, where Miro AI comes in is great because before I send it off to the team to get early feedback, now I can use the product marketing alliance sidekick to look at the individual slides and get targeted feedback. Now, this is great. After this first one, we look at the completion screen. Clarify the specific next step users should take after completing the onboarding process. Now, these are pretty detailed notes that we can now look at, analyze, and build upon our slides. Next, we have interactive tutorials. Clarify the types of quizzes and challenges included in the interactive tutorials. That's a no-brainer and something that we should have thought of. And now we can use that to build upon this slide. And for each of these slides, the Product Marketing Alliance Sidekick really came in clutch because it helped identify quick wins that we can focus on in building these slides quickly and sharing it out to the team faster.
Thank you so much, Tirelle, for showcasing us how you go through your workflows and how you use Miro AI to amplify how teams discover, define, and deliver on solutions. Are there any last thoughts that you wanted to share?
Teams are at the center point of AI. AI is great because it helps augment us and it helps break down ideas and synthesize data faster. But the teams and the human connection is always at the center of the experience. So the faster you can really break down your workflows into step-by-step processes, that's where you can understand where AI can help you. As we just went through here, we had a lot of different workflows that we went through, but they all had different use cases and all served a different purpose. And that's the great thing about using AI, especially with Miro AI. It's very versatile. And as you progress with your ideas and move into solutions, you need a tool that adapts with you. And Miro AI is great because it's super adaptable. So as long as you're very highly communicative with your team and you have a very good understanding of your workflows, then you'll be able to integrate Miro AI effortlessly.
I can't wait, or I hope that customers get to experience the same value of Miro AI as you have. Thank you for taking the moment to inspire everyone. I know you have done for me throughout this process. So thank you again so much. I hope everyone has a lovely rest of their day. Bye.